And then again, month went by, and I knew that it was only like a question of time at this point. Everything was getting in this heavy motion machine that was like the recording process, and all was like standing next to a project as big as this, and so it's like let's go fast forward to summer 2002. Once again we are in Pesaro, the usual birthday party, the usual mansion, the usual surrounding. Of course now I'm not tense or nervous to meet him. It was like kind of funny, because when we were eating, he was always asking me to sit like next to him, because he knew I love, like him, very much a kind of red wine. It's like a sparkling wine of our area, and many people slag this kind of wine off because they say like there's too much gas and it's not considered like a royal wine, like for the big sommelier or big chef. But me and him loved it very much, so we were like kind of like having a laugh about this. And so that's why the atmosphere of this kind of party was very like joyful at this point. And he was explaining that still the CD was getting delayed because he was still searching for an happy song, like a joyful and delightful and uplifting, kind of like danceable song. It was the last song he needed to have like completed the whole part of the CD, like covering the whole mood. And so he played a song that was called Adoro, and actually the song gives the title to a CD, that is this one. As you probably have seen it somewhere on the net. And this song had been written with words like thinking about his last child, who just born, called Alice, and that she was always laughing and feeling happy when he was singing. So that's why there was this kind of like joyful mood in the song. Then so there was all this proceeding and explaining of how all this thing were, like these wheels were getting in motion for this project. So they were explaining that's why it was taking so long, because they had to record 2 promotional videos for this project, the full promotional campaign, still had to do concerts around the world, and how do you say, the request for songwriting credits and rights that still had not be given, graphics to be chosen. I mean, so many things that people not involved in the music business don't know, that they're always behind a big project like this. So okay, the months were passing by again, and finally I got the documents and papers for the songwriting credits to be signed. So when you sign this, you are sure that finally your songs will be sung, that your songs will be part of a CD, and you know, until this moment everyone can tell you yes, 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 they will make it to the final process, but you're never sure until you actually sign the papers. So in 2003 it was June. It was taking place, as every year, this big incredible show called Pavarotti and Friends, and the whole proceedings were going to the UNICEF campaign project, like to raise funds for hungry children around the world. And during those days, Modena, my hometown, and his hometown too, were getting like the capital, the music capital of the world, because there were like artists and music executives from all over the world, and big name artists, and it was like an incredible surrounding during these days. So I always had the invitation to participate to the show, like the backstage pass and all areas access and all that. But this time I had the invitation for the dinner too at the end of the show. Edwin Tino Tinoco, Pavarotti's assistant, told me that during the afternoon before the show, Pavarotti played the songs of the forthcoming CD, so including my songs, to some of the artists that would have sung in the night at the show, and talking about the CD. And that year, among those artists, there was even U2's singer, Bono. So, at this dinner, I was eating at my table, and about like 3 meters, 3 meters far from me, there was Luciano Pavarotti's table, and he was sitting there with Nicoletta, his wife, and Bono. They were like 3 meters distance. So while I was eating, a man came up to me asking me, "Mr. Bellentani?" And I answered, "Yes." And he looked at me and said, "Listen, I'm Paul McGuinness, Bono's manager, and Bono wants to congratulate with you for this great song you wrote, Come Aquile, that he listened to this afternoon at Pavarotti's house." So I was like, wow. And so I turned in direction of Pavarotti's table where Bono was sitting, and so Bono, looking at me, did, like miming the song, he did, "You, me," and he mimed "Come aquile," like eagles, with hands like the hands were wings. And it was like, wow. So I was like so overwhelmed with everything, and I couldn't do anything except doing to him like, you know, thumbs up, you know, like thanks. So I was still in shock of this. 10 minutes later, Brian May, the guitarist and composer from Queen, came up to me saying the same thing, congratulate with me. So I was like, stood up and said, "Are you congratulate with me for one song? How should I congratulate to you for like this 40 years of playing great music, huh?" And it was like another shocking meeting, because like one of the most famous musicians in the world was congratulating with me for one song, and then we start talking about guitars and recording techniques and boring things. Okay, so we are in 2003, and it's September, and the first promotional photos of the CD start appearing everywhere, internet, on TV, news, especially in America, because the CD was getting released in the States first, then Europe, and then again Asia and Japan and Southern America, the rest of the world. And the nice thing was about the first reviews were incredibly nice, and it wasn't so predictable, because he had, of course, many fans, loyal fans, and devoted and followers, but he had many people like slagging them off too, because especially saying that in the last few years his voice wasn't at the top, and things like this. And critics as well, because he could have met bad critics' reviews, because basically these songs were like new, so you never know until the end what they can say. The good thing were like there was a variety of genres in this CD. There was like a newly recorded version of Caruso, and apparently strange, but it was an incredible duet between Pavarotti and Jeff Beck, playing of course guitar. And absurd if you think, duet between a voice and a guitar, but really it seemed that Jeff Beck's guitar was literally crying. It's an incredible performance, and it was so great to hear it, and Jeff Beck has always been one of my favorite guitarists. Then there was the sung version, the vocal version of the Gladiator movie, the theme from the original soundtrack, the Hans Zimmer score for the Gladiator, the Russell Crowe movie, the Ridley Scott movie featuring Russell Crowe. Yeah, the vocal version was very powerful, very epic, and it was reaching the high C note again